Hey guys, Willie and Murfitt here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another episode on Gareth's engine. So today I've removed the rocker cover and we're going to turn our attention to the tappets. So it's quite simple to do, but as long as you do it right. And what I'm going to do is explain to you today how the job is done. And hopefully there's something you can take away and adjust yourself. Now the tappets are quite important for the correct running of your engine. What you might find is your engine's a little bit tappy at the top, which the tappets. I feel that this should be done in your basic maintenance. So when you're doing a service of the car every year, just check these, make sure that are present and correct, and it will also help to obviously improve the longevity of your vehicle. So today, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to use this Gunson click adjust. Now I've never used this previously. It's been in the bottom of my toolbox for a number of years. And it should be pretty straightforward to use. So first of all, I'm going to go into this, and then we're going to go there. This build series is proudly sponsored by Luntstone. Luntstone is a UK independent electrical engineering contractor delivering design, manufacturing, installation, commissioning and maintenance service expertise to a broad range of customers across the industrial, retail, educational and commercial sector. So if you want to find out more about Luntstone, please check out the website link in the description down below. Without further ado, let's get on to today's video. Okay, so this is the Gunson click adjust micrometer tappet adjuster. Now typically I would use a screwdriver and a 13mm or 1/2 inch spanner, but in this case I'm going to be using this. Now it has a screwdriver bit here which moves up and down. It also rotates left and right, and on here you've got an arm that adjusts. So on the top of your tappets you have a flat screw head which can adjust the tappets in and out. So you've got that screwdriver there. You've also got the ability to put a 1/2 inch drive, 1/2 inch socket. So that socket then goes onto the nut of the tappet. You can locate the screwdriver, pull it down, and then you can use literally one hand to undo, whether that is very tight. And what it means is that you can do the adjustment of your feeler gauge, the adjustment of the tappet, and the locking of the locking nut all in one sweep, rather than having to balance this and hold the screwdriver and everything. And hopefully this will help things a little bit more going through for the garage. So it's a Gunson click adjust micrometer tappet adjuster. Let's see how it goes. So onto the tappets. So the cylinder head is, obviously this is going to look at it with it in the car. You've got cylinder 1, 2, 3 and 4, and you've also got tappets 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now the reason they go from the fan side to the clutch side is the fact that historically you'd have this engine fitted front to back to your vehicle. So you'd have your fan here, your radiator here, your front of the car over here, and your gearbox going rear wheel drive. The Mini was a revolutionary thing to go transverse and then making it all front engine, front wheel drive. Turning the engine from long ways to sideways, putting the gearbox underneath, the clutch on the side, and making it work. So that's why it goes from 1 to 4, not 1 to 4 this way. Now the rule of 9 is you have 8 tappets. Now each tappet should be paired up, so the outside ones, the next one's in, next one's in, next one's in. And if you add the numbers together, so you've got number 1 and number 8, make 9. Number 2, number 7, make 9. Number 3, number 6, make 9. Number 4 and 5 make 9, and then 5 and 4, and so on and so forth. So that's why it's called the rule of 9, because you're working in your 9s effectively. So I've taken the spark plugs out, and I'm going to go through one by one and adjust them. Now the spark plugs are out, so I can make sure I can turn this engine a little bit easier, and you've got obviously then there's no compression within the engine, and when you turn the key it should make life much easier to go forward. So you can see everything moving, everything working. Okay, so you have on each of your chambers, So let's go for chamber 1 first. You've got a exhaust and an inlet, and then you've got inlet and exhaust, and then you've got exhaust, inlet, inlet, exhaust. So this is what you call a 5-port head, because on the back of the engine there are 5 ports. What you need to remember is that when you're on a power stroke, or you're on a exhaust stroke, or an intake stroke, the valves will be doing something differently. Now, where you may struggle to work out where the engine is roughly is where you've got all of your valves upwards. And we'll ignore them for now, for the rule of 9. So, let's get on. We'll get number 9 all the way down, and then we'll look at number 1. So I'm going to rotate the engine by hand, and then we'll see this one here now going down. And when it gets to the lowest point, you just see it start to sort of bounce up. And this one here, you can then move the tappet. Now that's what it's called on the rock. So I've got my feeler gauge set to 12 thou, and I can just slide it in and out. I have adjusted this one off camera, and I'm really happy with it. So what you'll find is you'll slide it in, it will go in smoothly with resistance top and bottom, and you'll have good contact between the feeler gauge. Now when you're happy with that, you'll then move on. So that is number 1, number 8, that's your 9. So next up, I want to get number 2 all the way down. So number 2 all the way down, so then number 7 is on the rock. Pretty happy with that too. So, number 3, number 6. So that's all the way down number 3. Number 6 is now on the rock. Take a little bit out of that one. So, I'll locate my screwdriver. The socket then gets lowered into place, and I can crack it off. Put my feeler gauge in. Now if I rotate anti-clockwise, you can see that the tappet is lifting up, and if I rotate clockwise, you can see it's lowering down. When it gets to a certain point, it will click, and that's obviously then when it's adjusted. So I'll put my feeler gauge inside, I'll twist, it's clicked, and that's too tight. So I'll click it, I'll go back 1 little click, 2 little clicks, and we're absolutely spot on. So then I'll hold the screwdriver in place, and I'll tighten this nut up. And before I move on, I'll just double check to make sure that's right. And that to me is now a little bit too tight. I'm having to force the gauge in. There we go. So there we have it. So the gun's engaged, you lock it till it clicks, and then back 3 clicks. I think that's what we're going to work out to do. So number 4 down, number 5 up. That's number 4 down, number 5 is on the rock. A bit of a big gap there. Perfect. Next one down to 5. Number 4 is going to be on the rock. So number 6 down, 3. Now to me that doesn't feel like anywhere near enough gap. I can't get the 12 thou feeler gauge in there. No, I put that one. It's Now I used the old-fashioned method of the spanner and the screwdriver because I couldn't see what's happening, and every time I went to adjust it up it was locking down onto the adjuster. So yeah, sometimes you have to just go back to what you know. Anyway, let's go down number 7. That's good. And lastly, number 8. There we go. Now what I'll show you is when you hear a tappy engine, and you'll know exactly what I mean when you hear it. So a tappet engine is caused by having the gap too large. Now what will happen is, you'll have this, which will be rocking in between the push rod that goes down the back of the engine and the top of the valve. So you want to eliminate that. And if you imagine that across all 8 valves, or all 8 rockers, going at 1,000 RPM, that's going to be quite loud. Imagine at 3,000 RPM, it's going to be very, very loud. Splendid. So, there we have it. All 8 valves are now adjusted. So there we have it. All 8 tappets are now adjusted. All done by the rule of 9. Now what we're going to do now is put the gasket back on and the rocker cover back on as well. So I've got this silicone gasket to go on the car. I actually find these much better for fitment, and they don't leak as much either. Rocker cover on. Just like to take a little pick and just get underneath to make sure it's located. Okay, located all the way around, which is fantastic. And for this build, we're going to be putting some new parts on the top. So we've got new grommets or gaskets, or seals even, and we've got some new T-pieces as well. So these new T-pieces are to replace the old, slightly corroded ones, and hopefully that will make life a lot easier and a lot nicer. So goes gasket. Okay, so gone spacer, cup, gasket, and then I can just wind that in. It's all nicely located in the front, nicely located in the back. Job done. So I'm going to leave this video here because this section of the job is now complete. So hopefully you found that a little bit more interesting, and hopefully you can have a go taking it in yourself. So what you need to remember is you need to use a 12th valve feeler gauge. I'm pretty sure this is the same across the board unless you have a modified engine. No. Or 0.305 millimeters. So that's very important to remember that. It's click adjust, click gear. It worked pretty well. Would I use it again? Possibly. But using a standard method of spanner with a screwdriver I think works really well. You can see exactly what you're doing. It's a little bit more fiddly because you have to have your feeler gauges flopping around and bits and pieces, but all in all it works great. And then we have the tappets adjusted. So yes, hopefully you enjoyed this content. If you have, as always, please consider becoming a subscriber to the channel. It really, really means a lot to me, and I'm hoping that we can get this car finished very soon. If you have enjoyed this video, leave it a thumbs up, comment down below your thoughts, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. That's it from me. See you guys later. Take it easy.